Consistent beeping permeated the dark recesses of Bridget's brain. Her eyelids were like glue when she tried to open them, and it took more than one attempt to pry them open, even a little. Then she had to blink several times before she could see anything clearly. The bed she lay on was decently comfortable, but the beeping got louder. The whiteboard directly across from her had her name on it, along with a slew of other information. Slow, deep breaths were difficult, so Bridget switched to shallower breathing. Every muscle in her body was stiff, feeling as though it would take monumental effort to move. The room was small, with a sliding glass door that was about a quarter of the way open, but it wasn't easy to move her neck to see out of it. Bridget counted to 10, closing her eyes and trying to remember what had landed her here. A hospital was not someplace she ever wanted to wake up in alone. It scared the living daylights out of her and proved just how solitary a life she lived. Flexing her fingers, she tried to reach for a call button or something, anything that would alert someone she was awake and needed answers, and that she really didn't want to be by herself. But she could barely move, and when she did, it hurt. A new beep sounded next to her as the blood pressure cuff inflated and tightened around her arm. She couldn't do anything to help herself. It was awful. She lay there, still and silent, because she wasn't even sure if her voice would work, or what she would say. A tear leaked from her eye, falling down her cheek and disappearing. The hot course it had taken burning her skin. It was light outside. That much she could tell, at least. But she could barely turn to see the window and attempt to figure out what time of day it was. Her head pounded, and she closed her eyes to refocus herself. She was the fucking sheriff. She could do this. Figure out what she was doing here. How she had ended up here. Slowing her breathing, Bridget centered herself. It took longer than she wanted to admit, but the technique she'd learned from the one therapist she'd fired seemed to work at long last.